Hi, I'm Councilwoman Jane Bonner, and I'm joined here today with Suffolk County Sheriff Errol Toulon, Jr. And he's here to talk about some important programs that the Sheriff's Office offers. But one of the things I'd like him to talk about first is what exactly does the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office do, and what are your roles and responsibilities?
You know, it's a great question, and one of the things that a lot of people do not know is the fact that the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office was actually created in 1683, and so we have a long and vast history in Suffolk County. The Suffolk County Sheriff's Office oversees the two jails in Riverhead and in Yaphank. We have approximately almost 900 correction officers that oversees those two facilities. And then we have deputy sheriffs that not only patrol some of the roadways on the East End, but they provide pistol licensing for those that reside in the East End of Long Island, those 5 eastern towns, civil service where they do evictions, civil papers. They also work inside the courts, inside of both district court and First District Court and also County Court.
Okay.
So, you know, we have a vast amount of services that we provide to the residents of Suffolk County.
And you all do a fine job, and, you know, tremendous amount of respect for the men and women in the uniform. It's not an easy job, especially in this day and age. When we talked about you coming to do a Channel 18 segment, you had some very important topics that you wanted to bring to Channel 18 and the residents of Brookhaven, so you could spotlight some of the things that your office does and programs and services that you're very proud of. And one that I'd like to start with is one that we utilize very often in the town of Brookhaven, is your Shed the Meds program. When we host our recycling events, sheriffs always come and handle the drug take-back portion of it. Why don't you talk a little bit about Shed the Meds and how that rolled out?
You know, first of all, I'd like to thank you because you have been one of the biggest supporters in actually making sure that prescription medications are disposed of properly, which are, you know, it's a twofold thing that we're looking at. One, when prescriptions are no longer being used, how does individuals get rid of them? And, you know, the fact that we do not want, for environmental purposes, you know, them being flushed down the toilet.
I'm so glad you said that. We do not want people, you know, the water that we drink and shower and bathe with comes from a sole source aquifer. Right. You know, so eventually it finds its way into the water system that we use. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Do not flush these medications, right, prescription or non-prescription. Correct.
And so now it's a very safe manner in disposing of your medication. But then secondarily, when you think about prescriptions that are lingering in medicine cabinets, you know, they're susceptible to those that they're not actually prescribed for. And so it's a way for our residents to actually, and I am a resident of Brookhaven, you know, for our residents to actually dispose of their prescriptions in a proper manner.
You know, so often, you know, with the opioid crisis, we have learned that so often people are experimenting out of medicine cabinets and not necessarily their own medicine cabinets. So thank you so much for offering the Shed the Meds program, because we don't want people experimenting. We want people to be able to safely dispose of prescription and non-prescription drugs. And this is, I think, one of the most wonderful programs that you offer. We have a little competition going with my colleagues. We host these recycling events. We do paper shredding, e-waste recycling, and the drug take-back portion. And I have to honestly say, the program, the recycling events that we do at Rose Caracappa in the spring and the fall far surpass any other recycling events that happen in the town of Brookhaven. So my colleague, Councilman Dan Panico from the 6th Council District, is a little annoyed by that. Yeah. So he's had a healthy challenge issued to the residents of his council district to outpace the residents of the 2nd Council District. Okay. So we're going to keep a close eye on what gets taken back at our recycling events. Right. And that's a good competition to have, who could take back the most prescription and non-prescription drugs to be disposed of safely.
Right, and you know, across the United States, there's 2,500 youth between the ages of 12 and 17 who are going to use a prescription drug that's not prescribed to them for the first time. And when you think about that number,
well, that's a sobering statistic.
You know, 2,500 a day, you know, and so it's things like that that we really want to try and avoid, and having prescriptions fall into the wrong hands.
This is a wonderful program, and like I said, it's probably one of the most favorite that you do, so thank you for that. Another one that you wanted to talk about, and one that I'm not particularly familiar with, so if I'm not very familiar with it, I bet you many of the residents are not familiar with it. Project Lifesaver. Why don't you talk a little bit about Project Lifesaver?
This is a county-wide emergency service project that we have, where individuals that have autism or dementia, Alzheimer's, can actually, if they wander off, especially those with cognitive impairments, and wander off, this device will help locate them in a very fast manner. So the device is almost like a watch. It can be placed on your wrist or on your ankle. And if someone was to wander off, our deputy sheriffs are highly trained to not only locate that person, and most times it's under 20 minutes, but more importantly can communicate to that person in a manner that they will respond and we can bring them back safely. The cost of this is $300. It's not the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office that's gaining any profit from this. We're not gaining anything, actually. It's Project Lifesaver International that really provides this. And so it's a bracelet, it's a transmitter, it's a case. And so each month.
It's a small price to pay for safety of a loved one.
You know, when you think about when you're really concerned, when you wake up and they're not in a room that you thought they were in, or you walk away to go into a restroom or another part of your home and all of a sudden that loved one is missing, what are you going to do? So now this device, it's a minimal fee of $300 upfront cost, and then $5 a month really to just make sure that the battery is operable, because depending on the transmitter, it could be monthly or bi-monthly.
Okay, well, that's a wonderful program, and all this information will be available on Channel 18, how to access all this information, or recycling events if you have medications, prescription and non-prescription that you want to dispose of. There'll be information about Project Lifesaver. There'll be information, our next topic, the Sandy Hook Promise. Why don't you talk a little bit about the Sandy Hook Promise?
Yeah, we're really proud. We've partnered with the Sandy Hook Promise Foundation, and of course those parents that run that foundation lost their children tragically in Newtown, Connecticut. And so what we've done is we've been able to train over 23,000 students in Suffolk County to say something to a trusted adult. And this is really important when you think about things that children are hearing nowadays, whether it's gun violence or just some sort of self-harm. Now a child that may have heard from a classmate or saw something posted on social media will go to a trusted adult who's generally identified as a faculty member or school administrator in the school that they go to or a school that they attend, and they'll tell them. We have one quick success story of a 6th grader in one of our school districts in Suffolk County that actually her classmate told her mother's boyfriend was sexually abusing her. And so this young lady had the courage to go to a trusted adult, tell them what was occurring, and not only were we able to get this person arrested, we were able to move her and her mother to a safe location. And so we're really proud. So we have the Say Something program, and then Start with Hello, which we just started this year. And with Start with Hello, if you see someone in a cafeteria, they're sitting by themselves or they seem a little isolated in the classroom, you just start the conversation by saying hello, and then try and make that person come into the fold.
Because nobody should be alone.
Exactly.
I like that. I like that program, and you've got a good response to it?
Excellent response. Like I said, we have many school districts. We have 4 actually in Brookhaven that are participating in the program. And so we're hoping to branch it out, even more. Of course, we have a waiting list right now, but, almost 23,000 students is a lot right now.
Wow. That's a great program,
yeah.
And it seems like it's being very well received.
We're extremely proud of it. Not only the impact that we get from the schools, but the little success stories that we hear where students are actually talking to school administrators or faculty members about different issues that they're confronted with, and they're not internalizing these issues. They're actually speaking about them.
Social media has really changed how the kids of today communicate and interact with each other, and the information comes so fast and furious, and so much of it is so inappropriate and incredibly inappropriate for them to be able to process in their young forming brains. The fact that you've created a program that enables them and empowers them to help out and to be compassionate, I think that's wonderful. That might be my next favorite program next to Shed the Meds, so I'm glad you brought that to talk to the residents about. And the last one is human trafficking.
We realize that we have a huge human trafficking issue in Suffolk County. It was brought to me by the federal authorities first, and what we did, we're the first jail in the country to actually have a human trafficking unit embedded inside the facility with trained correction officers or trained correction staff. And so since August of 2019, we've been able to identify almost 110 women who are actually victims of human trafficking. And so these are, it starts as early as 12, 13, 14 years of age. Of course, by the time they get to us, they're 18 and older. But what our staff does is they interview every single female that enters our facility, and some are under the influence of some sort of drugs. So once they start—
I was going to ask if there's like a specific, is there a general profile for somebody that will have been human trafficked?
No, because you know, they're all walks of life, especially throughout, you know, these young women coming from just Suffolk County alone, that you would be extremely shocked. You know, the young lady that was in a bus station, a train station, walking down the street alone is a runaway, you know, are the typical scenarios that we see inside the jail. And so they are looking for love, they're looking for someone where they feel needed. They meet a person, you know, and it could be, we've had cases where there were fathers, brothers, sisters. We do have males that are human trafficked also, so it's not gender specific.
Not just female.
Right, so, you know, more importantly, it's us identifying these people, one, to get them the help they need to get them out of this situation, and then two, who are the people who are trafficking them, so that we can report them to the police department or the district attorney's office so we can get them arrested. And more importantly, getting these services, because the biggest thing is housing after they leave our custody.
Yes.
And so that's what we're trying to do, working
They're in such a fragile state.
Exactly. Working with two organizations like New Hour for women and also ECLI are two organizations working with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office to really help these women.
That's an amazing program. And you know, in 2020, the fact that we're talking about human trafficking and the causes of it is just so shocking to me.
You know, and some are tied, but very loosely, to gang-related issues. But for the most part, they are not. But it's disturbing because once one woman is arrested, that person that's trafficking them is looking for the next victim. And so they're not resting on their laurels. Sometimes they do try to bail them out, and we do realize what is occurring, and we try to get them to a safe place. But, you know, it's a very difficult situation.
Well, God bless you for that program as well. I mean, you've really touched on a little bit of so many different walks of life and how people are impacted, from people with dementia and Alzheimer's to kids that may be ostracized at school or not feeling safe, to getting, you know, providing a safe way to dispose of medicines and human trafficking. I mean, you're just not law enforcement. You're not.
No, and we've really worked very hard, the entire office, to really embed ourselves into the community and find out what is going on, so that we can try and address the various needs of the specific communities, you know, we may be speaking to. So whether it's a drug epidemic, a gang epidemic, a human trafficking epidemic, or really working with the kids, because my goal is to really get to the kids before they get to me. And so us in the community, showing our residents that we care about them and we want to make a difference, and hearing their voices, which is the most important thing.
And you know, that's so important that you get to the children when they're younger, so they're comfortable with law enforcement, so they understand that law enforcement is a safe place and they're a trusted individual that they can confide in, and they're comfortable with the uniform. I think that that is so important, especially in this day and age, when the access to social media and the videos that they see don't always portray things that are accurate at all.
Right, and you know, that's one of the things, you know, you see these 30-second clips of bad things that happen, and there are bad things in all walks of life, and people make mistakes. But more importantly, to show that law enforcement are here to protect and serve, and really trying to help our community. 100%.
That's why I'm so glad you came in to talk about these 4 very important programs. It's a lot of information. Yes. We will provide the information for the residents to jot it down, so when they watch Channel 18 for the programs that you offer, we'll put up our recycling events for Shed the Med and all the other information that the sheriff provided for the residents of Brookhaven. And thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.